I don't think, this is like my wedding day, like looking out and seeing all these amazing people that you know, and I feel like I've connected with so many people here virtually, and it's just amazing to see everyone in real life. I just learned that acronym the other day. IRL is in real life. So it was a good thing. I don't know if it was Marcel, someone taught me. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about engagement. And the reason I wanted to start with engagement is because the social media journey for me really started as an entrepreneur of really deciding to use social media as a way to expand my network. But what I'm most passionate about and what I've spent the past 12 years in leadership doing is really creating the kinds of connected workplaces where people are inspired, they do their best work, where there's great leadership, and where the people in the organization are really engaged and firing on all cylinders. And yet this word engagement just gets thrown around and we kind of just lose the meaning of it. And so I want to just frame this in a different place for you. Lift your hand up if you've ever been married or are married, and keep it up. And if for those people who don't have their hand up, if you've ever seen a wedding proposal on TV, raise your hand. So everybody should have their hand up. So I want you to picture for a second that moment. You can put your hand down. I want you to picture either in your own memory bank or what you've seen on TV is that moment when your significant other popped the question and you said yes. And I want you to think about what was going on in your instinctive kind of soul to know that you were all in. This was it. And I think about my husband and where we were at, and just in an instinct when you say yes, at that place in your relationship, that person completes you, that person makes you feel smarter and greater and stronger and all of those things than you are. You have fun with them, you have complete trust in them, and you're saying, by saying yes, you're saying, I'm all in. And the reason I like that analogy of the engagement ring is when we think about engagement in organizations and engagements with our employees, it doesn't mean we want to marry our employees and have them with us even for the rest of our lives. But that feeling of being, I am all in. I am all in with this organization. I'm all in with my boss. I'm all in with my team. And I feel like the organization is all in for me. That's what I think of when I think of engagement. And this is what the foundation of everything we're going to talk about is today. Next slide. I really like this definition of engagement because what it touches on is it actually touches on an emotional connection that people feel when they're super engaged. And it doesn't have to be in your workplace. It could be you're coaching soccer on the weekends, whatever it is in your life that you're super passionate about. When you're doing it and you don't see the clock turning, when you're all in, it's like this emotional connection to what it is that you're doing. And again, that's engagement. Engagement, a boss of mine about 10 years ago, we talked about this, and he goes, Christine, engagement is about brain cells. And this is actually a real brain scan on the left of probably 71% of the Canadian population, which is either apathetic or downright disengaged with their jobs. That's what that brain scan represents, just gray matter. And the brain cells on the right, firing on all cylinders. And that's such a beautiful image for me to think about, because I look at that and I go, if I was leading a team of people and they walked away from a conversation with me and their brain cells were firing, which employee would I rather be talking to a customer? Which employee would I rather be working on a team, supporting their team members? Which employee would I trust to make decisions on the fly and really care about the business? It's about brain cells. Next one. And so to create that environment where you have this highly engaged, firing on all cylinders team, there's a couple of things that need to happen, and I want to touch on these first because it's not about doing a bunch of social things and putting a bunch of tools into your organizations. If you don't have the right environment and the right culture in place in the first place, none of these tools are going to actually help you. So how do you create it? Well, the first thing is the leadership in the organization has to realize that leadership is a gift word. Everybody in this room has the title of leader. You're all GMs or senior HR people or owners or operators. You have some kind of leader title. But what I would like to propose to you today in your personal and professional lives is that leadership is a gift word. Other people decide that you have leadership. You may have it on your business card, but when you think of the people in your life that you've met over the course of your life, and you think of those people who've really made a mark for you, that's a gift word. You gift it to someone and it means a lot more. So working in organizations where senior leaders understand that, yes, they might have the title of leader, but they need to earn that. And how they do that, next slide, is fundamentally, you have to believe as an organization, as a leader, you have to believe that there's brilliance inside everyone around you. And that's a mind shift. So often in the day we walk around and go, that person didn't do their job, or they didn't do this, or God, again. There is brilliance in everyone. And when we work in a kind of organization where the leadership in the organization really believes that, it doesn't mean that you can't screw up on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't mean that you're in the right role or all the rest. But somewhere in there's brilliance. And as a leader, my role is to help bring that out. Next slide. Is your organization the kind of organization that rewards ideas, that creates the kind of environment where people can step forward and have a different, brilliant idea that may not be the idea of their manager or their supervisor? Is that the kind of environment that you're fostering, where people ask questions and go, what if, or why not? Do you have the kind of organization where leadership gets out of the way and lets the superstars kind of go for it? Because every organization has those people. But culturally, as an organization, if you're not set up to let those people go forward with all sort of like guns a-blazing, then the rest of what we're going to talk about today is going to be tricky to do. And if you do those things and create that kind of environment, you will stand out as an employer. You will stand out as a boss. You will stand out as a leader. And people will find you. New employees will find you. Volunteers will find you. Other employers will find you and look at what it is that you're doing. You will stand out. I want you to think about, too, when you think about social media, standing out. If you're not doing all of these things, I bet you already are standing out, but you're not standing out in a good way. So those of you who are on Twitter right now, I want you to search in Twitter. I want you to type in, I hate my job. Seriously, type it in. See what comes up. There is a massive flow of tweets at this very moment about people tweeting about how much they hate their job, and I certainly hope there's no companies mentioned in this room. If you'd prefer, go to Facebook and go to open your Facebook and type in the search, I hate my job. And the first page that comes up, I think, has 6,500 fans just griping about how much they hate their job. Type in I love my job on Facebook, and there's a fan page with like 600 people on it. There is a lot of people talking about how much they hate their boss, how much they hate their job, and a lot of the stuff that they're complaining about is stuff that I was talking about in the earlier slides that's not happening. So just because you're not standing out in a good way, it doesn't mean you're not standing out. I did a little search with Corey. Where's Corey? Corey and I were talking on Skype at like some crazy hour in the morning the other day, and Corey said, hey, look what I found. And we found on Facebook, he goes, type Bank of America. So I typed Bank of America on Facebook, and the first page that popped up is Bank of America sucks. And there was a lot of employees on that page too. Next slide. And so today is about sitting here in this room, and I've had so many conversations with a lot of you going, okay, I get this, I got to go there, I got to think differently, but I have so much stuff to do. I'm so busy. I can't even get out of my office for 2 hours, let alone think about social media and how we need to do this. I get it. And so what needs to happen if we need to start some new things is we need to stop doing some other things or do them differently. And I just want to whip through a couple slides to show you social platforms, and we're not just talking about Facebook. There is an explosion right now of social HR software that can help you in every single phase of your employee life cycle. From recruiting and actually activating people's Facebook fans and people's Facebook profiles and their connections and leveraging LinkedIn. And there's so many different ways that you can actually leverage social media for recruiting and activate your employees to activate their network. Next one. You've got a company like Ripple, which has this amazing software where behind the firewall, all of a sudden, employees in the organization, you know, your goals and objectives, they create their own goals and objectives, they give each other kudos, they can see what people are doing, and all of a sudden it's not this funnel that's coming from HR, from senior leadership that has to funnel through this small little hole. The whole organization is activated to see what everybody else is doing. So that's one other idea. InstaPulse, where's Carolee? Carolee from InstaPulse, one of our sponsors, is here. The whole concept, when we were at IntraWest, I can't even imagine what we spent every year on employee surveys that we would do once a year in February to find out what our 20,000 employees were feeling about the company and about their jobs and about their boss. And as a manager, I would get the survey back in April when 90% of my staff had already left for the season. And I wouldn't even get to see the comments. Well, InstaPulse, and there's a number of other sort of areas that you can do this as well, you can even do it on Twitter, is gauge sentiment in real time, and we're going to actually try that today. What are the questions that you need to ask to just get a pulse of what people are thinking right now? Where is Joseph from Tribe HR? Joseph. Joseph, brilliant Joseph, who is the CEO of Tribe HR, has come up with an amazing social HR platform that basically can do a number of different things, again, behind the firewall. And if you just look even right here, call in sick or schedule a vacation, all those things that are so process heavy, all of a sudden you're putting in the hands of employees. So there's some really great tools that are out there. Mobile. We're not going to have a ton of time to talk about it today, but as a way to activate and engage your employees, communicate in a different way, from orientation programs and from checking in with Foursquare. There's so many tools that don't require more work because all of a sudden you're just activating this tool that the employees are becoming more engaged with themselves and with the organization. Next one. And I guess when I look at this, I look at the mountain of work that most HR professionals have, and I get it. But I guess what I also see is I see this massive tsunami, which, make no mistake about it, is attached strongly to ROI and to revenue. Because if we could do things a little bit differently, I guess we see huge opportunity in HR right now. I think it's a really exciting time to be in HR and to be running a company and running teams, because more than ever, we have all these tools that can help us in all the phases of our employee life cycle. And so I would leave you, I guess, with this thought. With what I'm seeing out there is I'm seeing not only this tsunami, but I'm seeing an opportunity for us as HR professionals, as leaders in organizations, as owners, as operators, to kind of transform from maybe some of the traditional things that HR was doing, because now we have a whole bunch of different ways to do those things, and to take on a different role in the organization, and a different role which has so much ability to activate and engage your entire organization. Thanks.